Guilty.
Will they be indicted or relieved of any wrongdoing in the deadly shooting of DeMarcus Semer? Tonight, a community anxiously waits for a grand jury's decision that could come tomorrow regarding the fate of two Fort Pierce police officers. Megan McRoberts reports community leaders are asking for peace regardless of the outcome. She's live tonight in Fort Pierce to explain. Megan?
Kelly, already several local pastors have met with about 100 residents. They did so in a church meeting over the weekend, urging them to remain peaceful regardless of any possible decision that could be made by a grand jury tomorrow. Since the shooting of DeMarcus Semer, there have not been any violent protests, and there are plans in place to make sure that does not change. It's a case that rocked Fort Pierce to the core. Those who knew and others who never met DeMarcus Semer hit the streets peacefully but passionately after the shooting in late April. All of them demanding more information and fairness from investigators.
I thought it was great that the community came on board to support him as a person.
Semer's godfather, Eldrew Baldwin Jr., is a pastor at First Bethel Baptist Church where Semer grew up.
My prayer, and I'm quite sure the family in agreement with me, is that we don't overreact just on one decision tomorrow.
Already, Baldwin and other pastors have met with at least 100 residents to spread that message. He hopes the decision won't hurt police and community relationships if the officers are not indicted.
I don't think we need to base unity based on however the outcome is going to be tomorrow.
According to investigators, Semer was shot by officers after he didn't pull over for a traffic stop. An officer was allegedly hit by Semer's car before he then ran from the scene. That's when officers fired their guns. Officer Ralph Keith Holmes and Sergeant Brian Lee McNaught are still on paid leave. It was a scenario Baldwin never expected Semer would be a part of.
He was a great young man. He served in the church even as a teenager.
Semer's picture pinned to his wall, hoping tomorrow for more answers. And Pastor Baldwin also wanted to stress to Fort Pierce residents that even if there is a decision by a grand jury tomorrow, that is not the end of the road. And there is also still the Department of Justice investigation into any possible civil wrongdoings. Here at the Fort Pierce Police Department, I also spoke with a spokesperson who says officers are made aware that there is a possible decision tomorrow and there is a plan in place should there be any violent protests or any threats directed their way. Reporting live in Fort Pierce, I'm Megan McRoberts, WPTV News Channel 5.
If a grand jury decision comes down tomorrow, our legal analyst, Michelle Suskauer, says there are three things that could happen. First, the officers could be indicted. There's also the chance the grand jury could decide not to indict the officers. And lastly, there's the chance the grand jury was only convened to answer one specific question related to this investigation.